Stanford, Silicon Valley, acceleration programs. I had this huge roadmap, but never had money to travel. I got to investment bank and there was no magic. I've died or not for 2 years nonstop, working like crazy, 16 hours a day. But yeah, almost like overnight. Yeah. Raised almost 5 million in funding.
The thing I wanted to ask you the most,
Maybe I'm gonna come back from the airport.
C-level people from Notion, Canva, keep your advisor list.
Get to the point where you have like 100% of the traffic, which is organic and free.
Community is a group chat on Telegram, but it's really not.
Page was faster to launch, but then any extra activity, pay me. You're gonna see big results, maybe 6 months. Identifying those, how you can find them, what motivates them, gonna be very simple, and then just scale it.
Hello, this is Discover with Jane. Today we have a wonderful guest, Dasha Kroshkina, founder from Silicon Valley, who is especially strong as a founder of community-driven startups. I've actually met Dasha in her community for growth-oriented women, and today I've asked Dasha to tell her story and to tell how to build such great communities. So hi, Dasha. Thank you for coming.
I'm super happy and thrilled to be here and share a bit of
Yeah.
thoughts and beats and I guess experience.
Could you please share your story from the beginning, how you came from Russia to Silicon Valley and building such amazing startups?
My story began at like really small Russian township. It's called like Star Oskol. It's close to Ukraine right now. Like some events happening. I was growing up in a very simple family. I remember I had this huge world map over my desk. I knew all the capitals of all the countries, but never had money to travel. And for me, like one of the biggest dreams was like, hey, I don't want to see the boundaries, like I want to see, I don't know, like United States, Argentina, and Brazil on the map, but I actually want to experience this. And first, I managed to win lots of scholarships and grants, and I studied absolutely free in Stanford, then China. I work in investment bank in Singapore, and then I got a scholarship also to take CFA and to study in Stanford, the States, for like short-term program. And that kind of changed my whole life. And I was like living in different countries. I was sharing my story. People would be like, oh my God, I never knew it's possible. That would change my life, brother, sister. And at some point of life, it kind of became my mission to help other people to do the same. I've never been a part, there's a type of entrepreneurs who like, I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to prove something to myself. And I honestly do believe it's a very wrong motivation to start any business. I feel like it's cool. For me, like, hey, I really want to solve this problem because it's personal for me. And I really want to change some of the kids across the world, the same kid I've been at some point of time, to have equal access to the future. It still took me 3 years from like first thoughts to actually making decision to kind of like drop everything because
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was not like, in the 90s in our countries, people thought that entrepreneurship is super dangerous and unstable, lots of fears. Since I was like 19, I started to talk to many people and I started to see other perspectives and kind of this like limitations that I had in my mind started to crumble. So it was part of like gaining the confidence because for like a long time I was a girl from a small township until maybe I got to business school, I finished it, I got an offer from Barclays in Singapore, and I was like one of 10,000 who got an offer. And I had this like, I guess, achievements in my CV, which is extremely solid, and I'm on my way back. And that
The
kind of like,
basis.
yeah, exactly. That's like the base. Like you also been working in like top brands. It kind of gives like sense of security and validation for the future. And I remember I got to investment bank and there was like no magic. Like I just realized people around me, I didn't want to be like them. There was like no passion, no
Yeah,
fire in their face.
exactly my story with consulting. It's all nice and great, but no magic.
There was no magic. I was like fighting so hard. It was like super exciting because you trade, like so many different factors, news. I remember Trump once said something on Twitter. It was like, I'm gonna show fire and fury to North Korea. Of course, I've been covering that Southeast Asia. The whole Asia went nuts. And from one point, it's kind of like interesting. From another, you just pretty much leveraging rich people's money. You're not helping, you're not changing the world. I don't think it's something I want to dedicate my life to. I feel at that time I got my scholarship to short-term program in Stanford. I got there, I got inspired, like Stanford, Silicon Valley, acceleration programs. And I decided like, hey, I don't have anything to lose. I was like 25 or 26. I don't have family. I don't have many siblings. So it's a great time to start. And I guess like to risk everything. And the plan was to go back to Russia to start my company because it's easier. I'm gonna get the construction and I'm gonna get the acceleration program. Very immaturely thought it's gonna take me 1 year. It actually took me 2 years, but like exact date. From the first moment I started my company, it was like $300 in my pocket. I didn't know anything about the fundraising, anything about marketing. I just knew education abroad, and I had like financial background, and I was a solo founder. There was like a huge growth. I was like learning like crazy from everyone around me. I was just like pretty much like harassing people when it comes to like learning and learning from them and getting advice and getting, like life hacks and how to build a company. And we started to apply to acceleration programs pretty much from the start. The first year, people will be saying like, hey, there's no market, it's not meant for business, it's consulting. And I was just like, okay, wait. And the first year was like, no, 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 no. I got 32 rejections from acceleration programs. And I think in the second year, we started to win startup competitions. I became, a global winner of Seedstars. It's a global startup competition, 5,000 startups, 96 countries, 9 months in the process, and $500,000 prize. And I won it. It's like the first ever female founder winner. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like, like everything started to change. And like around like the same, we got two offers from acceleration programs in the States, one in Silicon Valley, second in New York. We got an offer commitment from venture funds in Europe to invest. We won a competition, so it was just like overnight.
It was happening overnight, but on year two, right?
I mean, happily overnight of dining burnout for 2 years nonstop, working like crazy, 16 hours a day. But yeah, almost like overnight. Yeah. And but the problem was also that it was COVID. It was 2020, and I remember like we got into acceleration program, but I couldn't leave Russia. I was like living in Moscow, and there was like some secret flights,
I remember that time they scheduled the flights as cargoes.
exactly. And I got on this flight. I was like, seriously, I had only tourist visa. I didn't have any other visa. I just, like I moved out of the apartment I was living. I told my landlord just like wait for like 6 hours. Maybe I'm gonna come back from the airport. And like everyone just telling me like that's impossible. I had a tourist visa, but like the thing is, no one asked me anything. I pretty much like went through the passport control. Somewhere they asked me like, what are the reasons? Like I have my company, I have like invitation to acceleration program, and I had no problem. And I think I was like almost like the only person who like managed
Fantastic.
to do that. So like last 2 years I spent living in the United States. 3 years I spent living in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and just recently I moved to LA, which is like pretty much like 1 hour flight away. So I guess that's like the beginning of the journey. Right now I have my second startup. The first one really suffered a lot like when the war happened, and we lost a lot. Even though before that we raised almost 5 million in funding and got to like 2.5 million in annual recurring revenue. It's like pretty big, and I had 150 employees at some point of time in my first company. And right now I feel like I'm already like a serial entrepreneur. Have a couple of side businesses. I'm mentoring, advising startups on the side as well. I have my second startup. So right now it just feels like I know what I'm doing. Like launching a company is like an easy job. It's
Wow.
like first time it took 3 years, 3 years to kind of like get this like through the mental limitations and fears and confidence. And right now, like I'm a good entrepreneur. I know how to take risks. I know how to launch. I'm just doing this.
Okay.
But
So learn for 5 years, then wake up one morning and say, a new company is easy.
yeah, it's like like this like meme. Being successful. It's like getting pregnant. Everyone says congratulations, but no one knows how many times you've been fucked. I really
So
like it.
amazing. The thing I wanted to ask you the most,
Yeah,
both personally and as a podcast host,
yeah,
is how did you know that you are the right person to make your startup? It's clear that the problem founder fit is there, so this is your problem to
yeah.
solve. But how did you know that you are able to solve it and to launch this thing?
In Russian, we have Slabomia Tvaga. I guess it's kind of like you gotta be crazy enough to do this. And I think whenever like it comes to either building a company or like launching a project or like anything, there's like two major components. Skills, I would say it's only 10%. No, I didn't have like almost like any skills. You learn them, and I would say like your ability to learn those new skills have to be like accelerated because like the world is changing. Like maybe in 1 year all the jobs you know how to do gonna be relevant. So it comes down to actually the second part, which is like 90% what I believe in. And I think that's about your neuroplasticity, how quickly you can adapt. It's about emotional regulation. And I also think it's about your ability to build relationships with other people. And I guess like community in the broader sense of like, like mentorship, advisors, other founders. At the end of the day, being an entrepreneur, it's really about, like facing adversity. And again, you can also train this. I feel like in my case, I just I had initial confidence, I had initial stress resistance, I had initial, I don't know, like boundaries. I know like many female founders tell me that they have the problem of not getting the seat at the table. Like if you're female and you're just like talking at the conference, man, I'm not gonna be talking to you. I didn't have this problem myself because I feel like I'm very assertive and like aggressive in a good way, but like naturally I don't have to fake myself. I don't think there's like was like some parts of me that just like made it easier for me to hear no and transform this like no from the driving force. Then when people tell me you cannot do this, it motivates me. And it just like I really trust my intuition, my gut feeling, my I don't know, like ability to think. So like I can block out the white noise. And that's why, like it really helped me at the beginning. But you cannot build a company alone. You're gonna be learning faster through like other people. And that I like learned like early in the days. I had like such a huge village around me, people who would be like always willing to help, and all my abilities in like shaping my mindset and mental and psychological skills unlimited. And my skills to build relationships across the globe, across different countries and cultures and continents, they're really solid, and the rest I can figure out.
So it's really true that you see community in everything. Like relationship building is in the core of
Yeah, I would say
everything.
I would say like community was not like a word back then. Maybe networking was, but networking seems very shallow. But that was like helping me the most building a company is really managing to build a deep, authentic connection with people, and like really top people, top entrepreneurs in the market that would be helping me. It was like so natural to me. I've built an amazing community of top advisors. I was just doing my thing, and apparently, yeah, it was community building in your core, yeah.
So I guess communities are your superpower. And could you share a recipe for like a great community? Like what is it?
Ouch. Yeah, like you. It's a combination of being very empathetic, but I guess like being analytical at the same time. And it's not like the same, you look at the product person. It's like having this like customer discovery, but like on a personal level and really deeply understanding what actually drives person deeply on emotional level, on like soul level, career. And instead of building transactional relationship, okay, I give you, you give me, it's actually how I can empower you without looking for like giving back. How can I help you? How can I open up? And I think like my actual ability to be vulnerable and open up without this like successful success early in the days. It was also one of the values that kind of like attracted people because people wanted to be part of this, being around authentic people. For me, it's really great for me to understand what people want deeply. Sometimes even if they don't realize it within just like few questions, like you've been in masterminds.
Exactly.
And it kind of like
Exactly.
helps me and it kind of helps me to build relationships by giving first with people. And I guess building like a motivation system, exchange system based on like what really matters to people. Somehow it started to become, like a system at some point of time. And then I actually started to build a large scale communities. But it's like people first. It's about, like really deeply understanding, like really deeply caring about people, and then having this like ability to extrapolate it and see, like I feel like how it can be like a reward system, like not monetary reward, but like what I could give them to make their life better, like to help them to become better. Even like with like advisors, when I was like attracting advisors, they are helping me, but at the same time, I'm giving them opportunity to give back, to feel the impact, to feel the ownership.
That's what I was going to ask you. With
Yeah,
the advisors, with all those crazy senior people and famous companies, for those who don't know, Dasha has C-level people from top companies like Notion, Canva, you name it, in her advisor list and in her warm network.
yeah.
And when you are a, so to say, beginner startupper, beginner businessman, I wouldn't say that you can give them knowledge or anything.
People like already at the level, like money is not an issue for them. They're already accomplished professionally. Usually at some level, it's really about giving back because it's a human nature. About like 33%, we need to have like 33% more people ahead of us for inspiration at the same level with us for like support the sense of belonging, and 33% for like grounding, reminding us how far we came along, like in giving back. Them helping me first, it's about impact. And when you look in it from high level, it's really about I want to change the world. It's about values and mission, and it's about like I'm contributing to something that's gonna help kids around the planet. So that's like a lot of like emotional. The second one, if they haven't started a company for some reason, maybe they were like afraid. Maybe it was not nothing on their plate. If you give them enough sense of ownership that they could be actually involved and have an impact, you actually giving them opportunity to fulfill this dream and have this tick against the wall. Hey, I'm like founding something. I'm creating
Wow.
something. And you don't know how many people are afraid and they feel, like self-loathing because, hey, I haven't done this, but I'm afraid to take risks. But right now, I'm going to be part of something small where it can impact everything. I can be by your side, helping to build, and that's like my own fulfillment, and a huge
Yeah,
part.
so you are such a person who can uh, give them this opportunity to take all this knowledge, all their experience that they can apply to your company. That's
Exactly. So
amazing.
it's very, they give me knowledge, I give them sense of, I guess, like impact, sense of ownership, and emotional fulfillment. And then again, like if someone who wants like ownership, like, hey, I was wanting to build a company, but I haven't, you give them a playground. If someone because it's emotional and giving back, it's really important to circulate. They give you advice, you go back, hey, thank you so much for helping me. This worked out, this haven't worked out. Praising them publicly. The social recognition, that's a huge currency. I just intuitively feel it for someone, I just need to do this. There's like some people, hey, I want to be part of Silicon Valley because I didn't have access to
Yeah.
the table. So maybe I can connect them with like my advisors or like other startups or like invite them on my events in Silicon Valley.
As you mentioned, the product thinking, like jobs to be done framework, but for a person and
Yeah.
their high level job is either recognition or making impact or maybe uh, having their touch, as you mentioned in Silicon Valley.
Like I'm usually jumping to advise someone if like, hey, that's exciting, that's an intellectual stimulation for me. I can be helping
Mhm.
them without having to create my own company like full from.
I watched your previous webinar, and you mentioned that communities are often mistaken with just group chats. Like
Exactly.
community is a group chat on Telegram, but it's really not. What makes a community a community?
Yeah, so if you have a people in the group chat and you only talk to them, you have a support group. You don't have a community. Community is
Mm.
about people talking between each other. It's about you creating a platform or combining people that share certain values or sharing goals together. And it's like horizontal communication. Uh,
Uh-huh.
like job as a community manager to inspire, to facilitate, to maybe connect at the beginning and then it
Mhm.
scale. But people should be there to talk between each other and drive it. If it's only like Q&A, then you have a support group.
I really notice that in our community
Yeah.
that you lead, you always try to connect people like, hey, Jane can help you with that, or Margarita can help you with that. Kate can tell something about her experience. So yeah, that really works.
Yeah,
Uh,
I call this technique like shuffle run. Do you remember like in high school you could have, like a short distance to run from one side to another like this?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Instead of like answering question myself, I was just like, hey, go ask Jane, hey, go ask Dasha. And it's kind of like it evolves and people can see that they can ask other people what like other people are like all about. And it just kind of like shows that it's okay to ask different people. That's like the easiest way to start horizontal communication between them.
And what can you say about communities as a marketing instrument?
It could be extremely powerful, but it also takes a lot of time. So I would say the community for business usually kind of divides for like two roles. One, you have the community for like either behind the paywall for like paid users, you have a paid community in our case, but then you have community before the paywall, and it's kind of like open community. About communities as a growth for like marketing tool, uh, it's extremely powerful because you can pretty much get to the point where you have like 100% of the traffic which is organic and free, but it does take time. Community can impact your, our funnel of awareness, activation, acquisition, all of this.
Yeah.
So community can affect on all the stages. You can use community of ambassadors on social media. You have community who's reposting what you post and you can like increase the reach. Then you can build relationships through like events or like speaker sessions. But my point is that with building any relationship, it takes time. And when companies come to me like, hey, I want to have community growth, you're gonna see like really big results without like maybe 6 months. The first ones within
Okay,
like
so
3 months.
6 months.
So like it takes time and it takes a lot of like in-depth analysis. Like I can do this fast because I guess that's my skill and her advantage of being able to understand people deeply because every community is different. I could see, like lots of people who would just, like would apply traditional product customer discovery call trying to understand community that would fail because that's combination of like pain and empathy and it's kind of like how you can build a scalable product around people emotions and sense of belonging and loyalty. That's I guess like why and the market for the community managers does not really exist. So that's why like once you say like building community is really like for like everyone, especially if you're going to be building free community because with like any relationship, if you're gonna do this like by 10%, it's already like building relationship that maybe are not as deep. It might actually bring you like maybe more negative perception from the audience than positive. So it does take time. So like if you like one person team who's trying to do this, what I would recommend is just like finding, one core metric that you want to improve and one specific, I guess, type of event that can really like, commit long term. For example, having speaker sessions, but once a month, or like having like Q&A sessions once a month. I wouldn't just like create, like an open chat for everyone because it's so hard to manage. And as community scales, like it's like the biggest problem of like communities as a chat, free community. It's hard to moderate. You need to grow, but at the same time, you need to manage quality. So we just started to create chats either for like super users or like ambassadors or like maybe behind the paywall. But anything before the paywall, I will just use it like in different forms. Maybe like let them talk under the comments on social media or like let them talk at the events. Organize events once a quarter with like breakout rooms, but make it exclusive so that only people who like the most active can get access to this, like type of deep relationship. Like if communication is available anytime with any type of quality people, then it's not like its value is decreasing.
Make it like exclusive. Even if it's
Exactly. So
free.
like the job is to create the reward system. Like for example, your major goal is to I don't know like increase the number of leads or like from like UGC content or like for posts on social media. Or say like hey community like members or like any users like I'm gonna pick like I don't know like 20 people like every month is gonna be the most active in this specific action that contributes to your metrics. Like, and only for those people, we're gonna have something, like invite to speaker sessions or like, like some offline events. So it should be like a reward system that when you contribute the most, only you can get access to the next stage, but it's still community. And my second advice, introduce monetary rewards as late as possible because once you start paying money, non-monetary reward will stop working.
And did you personally experiment with the kind of monetary rewards?
Yeah, we did. At some point of time, we had two user groups. One we being building an ambassador community, like micro influencers to our product. One was non-paid, and the second was paid. So the one was like paid was faster to launch, but then the results were like any extra activity pay me. So they're not like emotionally involved. And non-paid community took 2 more months to kind of like launch and figure out, like the motivation system and how we can provide, but it was like really long lasting. And like people would be actually, like contributing. It's also like one of the tricks I found. It's all about social recognition. Great titles. It's all about people's ego. Like we would call someone as like founding member of the community. Sounds pretty cool, right? It costs
Yeah, it
nothing for
sounds
us.
cool.
But like you gotta put it on LinkedIn. I'm a founding member of the community of Silicon Valley based startup. Oh my god, I'm such a cool. Zero
Yeah.
money. Huge ego boost.
I got your another superpower besides community, finding the point which is gonna boost people's ego or their feeling of maybe joy, maybe gratitude or whatever, like make them feel good.
Yeah, but it's got for me it is the instrument to drive community because like if you don't know how to make people feel good, you fail to build a community because community is all about feelings. And I guess like that's what takes from me like really small effort to find this and to kind of like segment people because I don't think ego is bad. We all need, like someone like lacks ego, some lacks impact or like sense in life, someone lacks ownership and like having control. And I just like really quickly see this in like okay, like different buckets.
Yeah, just a question from me being
Yeah,
mostly a one-person business, like a solopreneur. Is it worth it to make a community being one person, or is it taking too much resource to see those benefits?
I would say like first do not call it community because community has very high expectations, but I do think you can find some core actions that can drive you, which are going to be community driven, but like you can name it like in different ways. It's also about managing expectations because community for someone like, hey, you're going to be hanging out with us. You don't have this luxury. I would say try to find one core action that can really boost conversion to sales. Usually it's kind of like something about trust. So like you have, for example, like 10,000 people and you need to convert them to the paying users. So, and then like you can experiment, have like few hypotheses to find one core thing that kind of contributes to trust and loyalty the most and converts them into paid users. I don't know, the same events, but for example, inviting cool speakers or like giving more free materials or like for example like we do sometimes in the fundraising bootcamp doing like Q&A sessions once a month. It's something like hey like I'm showing my expertise, I'm giving back, I'm building relationship, I'm giving you value, but all of this is targeted towards increasing sales. If you don't yet have the product and but you plan to monetize in some point of time and right now your goal is to grow your community, then you can have something that's gonna drive growth of your mailing list or like subscribers or like anything.
Mhm.
Or in other parts, you're gonna have close events with speakers, but you're gonna only invite people who gonna mention the most people in your comments. So like just like finding a core thing that is gonna be driving for them to keep bringing you more people to your page, to your
Uh-huh.
channel, to your like mailing list, and then reward them with some exclusive content or connection or like anything.
I really like that idea with the core action and giving reward for that action. Like for example,
Yeah,
the topic of LinkedIn, which is a lot on my YouTube lately, and I am a lot on
yeah.
LinkedIn. So for example, a community about LinkedIn would be not where only I am giving my expertise and like reviewing profiles, but where people exchange their expertise and maybe comment each other profiles, help each other, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, do not make it for like everyone. Choose the core action.
Uh-huh.
Identify community leaders, like how you can identify them. And for them, you can have, I don't know, like maybe monthly LinkedIn masterminds. And they will be
Yeah,
posting all this on like social media. Why I say like monthly shouldn't be like too often because it's still a true community. Maybe it's gonna be breakout rooms or like brainstorming sessions, like where they can talk between each other. Maybe you can launch a random coffee within like again like super members. But something like it should be like very exclusive and should be extremely valuable for them. So like if their goal is to grow their LinkedIn, or like maybe it's about finding a job, maybe you can. invite career experts. Like if you identify what's most important for your audience, like your best audience in the next stage of life, then how you can help them to achieve this next stage of life. And just
Yeah,
like leveraging your network.
that's really smart. And again, it's like sincere because you mentioned thinking about their next step and
Yeah.
also rewarding something that is interesting for me, like for example, comments on my social media or reposts or something like that. And uh, also, what I like about your approach, it's natural. I'm already starting to think about people who are commenting every post of mine, or like almost everyone, and writing nice words to me and sharing their stories in exchange to my stories. And
Yeah.
I can just reward those people. Just a side note, how many people do you think you communicate with like weekly?
Well, it's gonna be shocking, but I'm an introvert.
Because we just talked about so many actions like community related and
Yeah, but
great
that's the point. And I feel like I remember I was like talking with like Yana Bilova, who's like really awesome in the community, and she wrote a book about this. And she told me like, what is good about me is I build relationship deep with only core people, and then it's like a network effect. So I don't talk with like 1,000 people. I kind of like really identify core people and I build relationship with them. And then I can see, and then like there's like empathetic part, and then there's I guess analytical, systematic part of me. How can you make it scalable? For example, like for the fundraising bootcamp, I have like 3,000 founders in my database. We do sometimes events. So I just like build relationship with 4 or 5 founders like later stage, and I understood why it's great for them, what motivates them to help. So just like invite them every single time to like events and like the same 4. And it's pretty much 2 parts. When I start to show like publicly that like, hey, thanks Atilia for like making this, what it means, especially on his like LinkedIn. First of all, he acts as advisor, so you can invite him as well. And for him, it's either, like potential career, potential monetization, potential clients, like, and it's just like, hey, I'm good. I invested my hour. I need something good. And what I also do always is just like I get the comments, like grateful comments from the people, and I send them afterwards as well, like, hey, see how much you help people. So it's a very simple thing, but like once they did once, they always want to come back. Like I feel so good after this. And especially like, can you imagine like you're like a founder of like serious big company. You like pretty much deep in shit every single day. And then you come and you help someone. And it's so easy for you. Your day is better. You're good again. You're not failing.
Sounds like helping kitties, like you fed the kitty in the street.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I was like, hey, I'm just gonna give you an opportunity to remind you how awesome you are, even though you forget and you struggle with the problems at this level. Just by answering questions to people a few stages behind you, it's just a reminder that you did this. You passed all the stages. You're good.
A marketing question. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you think is the best channel to invite people to grow your community if you do have a good community with sincere relationships, but you want to grow?
It's all about where the people already are, because helping you and talking to you should not be an extra effort for them. That's the biggest mistake people do. Like, what's best for me? What's easier and the most natural for people? That's first. And second, where would love to be praised, and where it's important to them to build their, like brands and relationship. Like for example, when I've been building community of students who got into colleges abroad for my startups, they just got their LinkedIn. They're gonna be looking for their first job. Us highlighting them on LinkedIn so that they would be applying for the jobs later, that's gonna distinguish them so much, like compared to others. And at the same time, they were like really hanging out on Instagram, and our Instagram was growing. So they would be doing some actions for us on Instagram because that's where audience was, that's where was like natural for them. But like we would reward them on LinkedIn as
Yeah,
a page.
that's again this approach. Sometimes you have to think where they are right now, but you also got to think where they will be.
You want to be, and that's about like how can you help them?
Yeah, interesting. So sometimes you need to help them choose strategically this platform of the future. Like they are moving to a new country, and there they have something else more popular. Some
Exactly.
countries
So,
have
like, for example,
Instagram, some have
like even in our community, like I wanted to introduce in a couple of weeks, like internal speaker sessions. So I will just post how I was creating my LinkedIn because almost everyone in our community wants to grow their LinkedIn and everyone wants to be a speaker. And I will just position this like things change for becoming speaker at the community because it's important because like keywords, like it's about the role and you want to grow in this role. So it's like it's gonna take me 2 seconds to write a different word, but it's gonna change like a lot for you. But for example, for me, it's I get the most community members from Instagram. So like for me, before me, like for posting something on Instagram, it's about the combination. I'm saying like it's really knowing deeply your audience, where they want to be, what they're passionate about. Need to be people looking for the community that is similar in values and growth mindset, growing income, growing your publicity, it is a set of values. How I identify our people. And then like if I'm part of this community, I'm achieving my goals faster.
Could you share like your best case with the community growth?
Well, I guess it was like my startup because it was the first community and we've been like really committed to grow because venture funding and all of this. I guess the first part was when we had almost 5,000 people in the paid community and we only had 2 community managers. So I managed to build a system when we identified community leaders among paid community members and we created a very self-sustainable system. So we didn't have to scale people to manage community. That was really awesome. Second, really deeply understand what's relevant to people. For example, there was like a girl who was studying Korean and applying to Korea. And we said like, hey, do you want to create a speaking club in Korean language? And we would just talk about how she's great. We would write her a recommendation letter that she was like an intern to her, like application to the university. Another girl like, hey, like I realized I was struggling with like mental health and fears during the application. I want to create, mental health club. And we packaged this as like a project and again like use this for like her like and she was paying. So like people were paying, contributing to the community and super grateful. And there was like also there was the girl who was first our client. She got into Germany, then she became community member, then she became community mentor, and then she became community manager to be an employee in the company.
So it's like a complete ambassadorship
Complete
story.
cycle, yeah, yeah. Complete cycle.
Uh-huh. And what was the secret behind not having so many community managers? A huge community, and they're like self-managed.
It's the same identifying community leaders, people who would be doing like all this work, understanding why they would do, how we could reward them, and then how to create the balance about giving and receiving because it's still volunteer position. So it's about like, hey, we give you platform, we have guidelines, but we don't control you because community is about like we give you freedom of creation and exploration. I was like joking, it was like Kidzania for like adults. And I remember it was like community mentor, the girl who studied abroad, she studied in UK and then she was actually in financial risk management in London. But she always wanted to be having like a podcast or like editor of media. So it's just like, hey, we can help you start to build like internal media platform. And she was like, oh my God, I don't have to quit my job. I don't have to organize anything. I have a great mission. I just have my media platform and I have recognition waiting for this.
So it's about super users again.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Identifying.
So super users or the community. So it's really identifying those, understanding like how you can find them, what motivates them, how we can build the reward system and like for what core actions. So it's going to be very simple and then just scale it.
So it seems like you know everything about your topic, and you are like really its champion. And may I ask you, how does it feel to be a repeat founder with several businesses in Silicon Valley? How does it feel from the inside?
Uh, well, from one, there's far less anxiety and because you're not afraid of mistakes. What really makes you, like repeat founder or like repeat product owner, repeat something is that you repeat because you failed along the way and you're not afraid of the failure. And that gives tremendous freedom, emotional, because you're just not afraid to try. I had to fire 120 people of 150 and we could not pay some of them month's salary because all money was like locked. Isolation, self-punishment, sabotage, and all of this. So, and lots of therapy.
Top 1% of top 1%
Yeah.
that we endlessly talk about in our community.
Great
Yeah.
emotion. Great. I love you. Let's create a marketing funnel out of this.